Welcome to the channel. As always, there will be a link down below in the description box if you want to read this shite at your own leisure. You see that ball there? That'll be your face if you give this video a thumbs down. Let's get right into it. It's long patch notes, and guess what? I've already tested it. All the missing players that we have are still missing. There's no Messi or any of the other notable players that had already been missing from the beginning. It's ridiculous. Anyhow, kickoff addressed the following issues. When viewing replays during a match played with artificial turf enabled, some kits were incorrectly displaying. Inconsistent capitalization of some player names when selecting a kickoff Volta football 5v5 match. The Miami and New York stadiums were incorrectly available. Yeah, just like a lot of the players are incorrectly available. FIFA Ultimate Team made the following changes: added the ability to see all owned position modifiers when applying a position modifier consumable on a selected player item. Added a shortcut to transfer targets on the squad transfer market screen. Added a UI indicator to note which kit is already selected in Stadium Customization Match Kit, and addressed the following issues. After using Buy Now on an item on the transfer market and selecting the option to assign the item, the player was incorrectly sent to a limited version of the transfer market page that the item was on. Corresponding EASF tracker, when attempting to scroll back to the first option of the play menu after scrolling to the last one, the first pair of options would get stuck off screen. And when swapping player items on the squad transfer market screen after adjusting a bid on a radial menu, the option to make a bid lost functionality. After scoring a goal, the FUT player item that displays on the pitch was sometimes missing letters and or numbers, or, fucking player. The silver bullet. All right. When a player item was selected on the squad screen and the player tabbed over to the club screen using the previous selection, it resulted in the originally selected player item being deselected. Well, in this case, the player is just missing. That really bugs me, by the way. It just blows my mind how many players are missing. Corresponding ESF tracker, after completing a squad building challenge with the item reward in FUT, the player was not taken directly to the new item screen. The on-screen elements that displayed following the completion of a squad building challenge did not run at the correct speed. And in co-op squad battles, the captain would see the second player's club badge in the pause menu instead of the opposing team's. Objectives screens were displaying at a slower than expected speed. The club badge was displayed as a gray placeholder image on a single-player draft pre-match screen. The training celebration displayed an incorrect preview animation in the customized stadium screen, where division rival placements progress earned through squad battles did not display on the division rivals menu, or in the co-op lobby the selected mode sometimes took longer than expected to load, or a stability issue that could sometimes occur when listing a TIFO from the customized stadium menu, or when a co-op invite was accepted from a player who was not a mutual friend. The player accepted was taken out of FUT. They were taken out. What's COVID, man? You got to socially isolate. You know what I'm saying? Even when it's online. That shit gets spread digitally. That was a joke, by the way. After scoring a goal, the FUT player item that displays on the pitch would sometimes have extra text underneath it. Psst, I'm over here. No image was present when claiming division rivals rewards. Updated incorrect button callouts on the team objective screen. Instances of the stadium lighting turning off when browsing the menus. They were trying to set the mood. In some cases, rare items would be too bright when selected on the transfer market. Address certain co-op stability issues that could sometimes occur. Various improvements to some celebrations and pack walkout animations. Addressed a rare desync issue when playing co-op squad battles, or update screen flow after redeeming a coin boost, or remove the end co-op session button callout for solo players. I feel like a solo player on my team because a lot of the players are missing. Notice the trend, how I keep going on about that. It's a big fucking deal. Addressed instances of some attributes being different between FIFA players and FUT player items. Updated several button callouts across multiple menus. Gameplay. Made the following changes, which I've heard some people are not happy with. Increased the competitor mode difficulty. This change is most impactful when the CPU AI is defending counterattacks. Competitor mode is present for legendary and ultimate difficulty levels. Reduce the amount of time it takes for a player to recover from a block animation. Contextual agile dribbling now maintains a slightly longer distance to the opponent in order to improve maneuverability. Slow down the Elastico skill move. The impact of this change is most noticeable when Elastico is chained multiple times. Following a directed run, body feints and knock-ons are disabled for some frames of animation in order to prevent button conflicts. Addressed the following issues. Player lock would stick to one player for the duration of a match if the setting was turned off mid-use during a match. In some situations, when requesting a shot inside the box, the request would rarely result in a tackle. Yeah, this is not football. When using auto position while playing as the goalkeeper would continuously make movements and lose stamina. He was like dancing and shit. No? Okay. Through passes would sometimes result in a short pass in an appropriate situation. Well, what else was he passing? Gas? You know what I'm saying? That's inappropriate. Sometimes a player would kick the ball into the ground during a cross, resulting in a poor cross attempt. The inputs required for an instant hard tackle now need to be pressed within a shorter window of time in order to avoid a button conflict with secondary contain. Improve the logic of determining when the player is requesting a jockey versus a shoulder challenge or a seal out. Address some instances of a ball touch being missed during a strafe or agile dribble. Sometimes a requested clearance would result in the ball trajectory going in an unintended direction. In some instances, players would unnecessarily perform a stretching pass animation. Made adjustments to receiver selection for through passes to result in more desirable receiver targets. Rarely, when requesting a cross, the correct receiver was not targeted, resulting in the ball going out of bounds. Improve touches. Improve the touch. During a skill move, oh, I bet it's a skill move. When the ball carrier is being physically contested by the opponent. That's another word for, I'm not even going to go there. In rare situations following a deflection, the ball could get stuck on the goal frame. In some situations, a requested pass would not happen when the ball carrier and the opponent were physically contesting. So that's what they call it now. The ball would sometimes have an unrealistic vertical trajectory in situations where two players contested a header. A player's arm could sometimes get stuck in a goal net after falling inside. Oh boy. Sometimes the following skill moves would not consistently perform as requested. Sombrero flick, step overs when standing, the combination of a ball roll into the scoop turn. Sometimes skill moves are not being performed if they were immediately requested after the ball carrier finished turning. Flicking the right stick while in the process of receiving the ball would sometimes cause the next skill move requested to be unresponsive. Sometimes players would not follow the optimal running route when approaching the ball for a shot or a pass, resulting in an unresponsive action. Addressed some instances of the player running over the ball before performing a requested cross, resulting in another unresponsive action. And, you gotta be kidding me. I almost lost my mouse there for a second. And, yeah, you'll have to bear with me here for a second. Speaking of unresponsive, my mouse was going haywire for a second there. Let's try to get through this as quickly as possible. I may not be able to read the rest of the patch notes if it gets really bad, but yeah. Made the following changes. Added Hungary, Bulgaria, and Iceland to the youth scouting map. Addressed the following issues. The captain would sometimes complain about losing captaincy when being rested for a cup match. Addressed a grammatical error during player negotiations. Text would overlap on the development tile for players with a nickname. Removed the non-function D-pad tactics UI for player career mode as it was causing button conflicts. When editing the manager, some hair accessories would sometimes not display a thumbnail image. Improved harsh in-game lighting that could occur when entering a match from an interactive match sim. After transfer listing a player and delegating their contract renewal, the player could not be removed from the transfer list. I can name you a lot of players that have been removed from the game. When you go to edit player, they're there, but they're not on your squad. It's so dumb. Addressed some instances of development plans not showing as completed despite enough time passing. Some board objectives were incorrectly being progressed during preseason tournaments. Addressed stability issues, which could rarely occur during post match interviews. Adjusted the team rating star color when replacing teams in the UEFA Europa League. Addressed various visual only menu issues. On some occasions, competition branding from the UEFA Championships League and UEFA Europa League would remain in the menus after being viewed through the calendar or weekly schedule. Contract delegations were not using the correct negotiations logic. Addressed some instances of fixture congestion in the Bundesliga. A club's default captain was indicated by a UI element on the interactive match sim fitness and rating screen instead of the currently selected captain. Improved transition between negotiation scenes and the menu, improved lighting in some negotiation scenes. Players were sometimes asking for contract renewals despite already signing a contract in the same season. Sometimes the wrong team name was displayed on the new style. Wage limits were not increasing. Well, yeah, a lot of people can relate with that. When the manager controlled team gained promotion. A controller disconnect would not pause the match in the interactive match sim. When playing as a goalkeeper in player career, AI teammates were playing at the legendary difficulty setting even when a lower one was selected. After entering the match through the interactive sim with controllers assigned to each side, a controller disconnect resulted in the corresponding team becoming inactive and addressed a rare stability issue in player career. Players who were recently transferred into the club were unable to be loaned out. Sometimes in-game group celebrations would not happen as requested, addressed incorrect referee selection in preseason tournaments, various stability improvements. Pro clubs addressed the following issues. Text-to-speech did not function correctly in pro club matches. In pro clubs, the pitch and kits preview was missing from the tactics tile when using Arabic. The default players in the LF and RF positions had an overall 75 instead of 80 when using 3-4-2-1 formation. After completing a match and selecting play next match, the available skill points were not visible on the searching for match screen. The 2D player portrait did not display on the match fact screen. Improved lighting in pro clubs matches. Volta football made the following changes. Music now plays during matches played in the Volta Stadium. When a new featured battles event starts while the player is already in the featured battles menu, the player will be taken to the main menu and receive a message explaining that the new event has begun. Addressed an on-screen indicator while drop-in matchmaking is in progress. Addressed the following issues. The menu was briefly active while searching for a drop-in match. Volta coins were not displaying in the Gear Up menu when it was accessed through squad management. That's because I took them all. In some locations, the PA announcer and music were too quiet. The player growth overall UI was incorrectly sized. That's what she said. On the post-match screens. Sometimes the same objective would display multiple times on the milestone progress screen following match completion. They're just trying to rub it in. Sometimes the menu would display incorrect button callouts and grayed out options following a controller disconnect. Updated the placeholder image that was present when hovering over Mbappe in a match lobby. I totally butchered his name, didn't I? At least he's in the fucking game. The defending novice skill game would get stuck in an endless loop, if the ball went out of bounds. See what I did there? Addressed a stability issue, which would sometimes occur during a featured battles match. And during a celebration, an AI teammate would sometimes move erratically. I don't think that's how they moved, but whatever. In the Netflix skill game, the player-controlled avatar would make an automatic pass on the first attempt after a retry. In the Netflix skill game, an AI player would sometimes prevent the skill game from being completed by moving the ball to an area out of play. So the AI is trolling you. Controls conflict on mouse and keyboard controls after using one of the button options. Who the hell plays FIFA with a mouse and keyboard? The event timer now displays days instead of hours where appropriate. Audio Visual General made the following change: addressed one manager star head, updated some broadcast packages, kit stadium scenes and audio, just not the missing players. Addressed the following issues: sometimes menu music did not play following a forfeit in online seasons. Addressed an issue causing visual corruption during a pre-match scene that impacted Liverpool when playing at Anfield. Or addressed an issue causing squares to display on the player performance screen found in a match pause menu. A player in the background would sometimes twitch during booking scenes. Sometimes goalkeeper animations would become visually corrupted for a few frames of the animation when doing a save. This was visual only. Sometimes the transition animations between a fall and a landing would be corrupted for a few frames of the animation. Again, this was visual only. Addressed issues with Alvaro Morata's signature celebration, various stability improvements. Addressed various issues where players experiencing errors when playing in modes such as foot or Volta football. Stability issues impacting some players during the initial boot flow into the game. I'll have the flow of my boot in your ass if you give this video a thumbs down, but remember to give it a thumbs up if you actually do like the video. It greatly helps support the channel. Added performance improvements, other minor fixes. FIFA Ultimate Team addressed the following issue. After using a compare price option on a transfer market item, bids cannot be properly adjusted by the player. This issue started occurring after the previous title update. Volta Football. How long are these patch notes? This has to be the longest patch notes in FIFA history. Addressed the following issues in Volta. After finding a potential squads match, players would sometimes be presented with an unable to set up match error message. Yeah, that's because of all the missing players. Sometimes players would see a fail to join match error message when trying to enter a squad's drop-in match lobby. Addressed various issues related to foot and Volta Football, game loading issues, fixed a few glitches, fixed game crashing issues, added stability fixes, added performance improvement, other minor fixes, but we didn't add the missing players. Download links for FIFA 20 will be available. Yeah, they're available now. Apparently this was available a week ago on PC, and I have the Game Pass EA Play Pro or whatever because I was reviewing the game early, but I hadn't played it in a little bit there. So I was unaware that there was an update for that game. Otherwise, I would have posted this like a week ago. And anyways, so we all know what happens if you give the video a thumbs up or down. If you want to subscribe to the channel, naturally that would be well appreciated. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, boys and girls, or whatever it is you identify as. And hopefully, I'll see at least maybe some of you in the next video. Bye now.